Hey there, guys. So, in this lesson, I want to have a heart to heart with you about give and take in relationships. In my experience, there are four attitudes, four mindsets about give and take in any relationship. And I've seen this across the boards in a decade of doing marriage coaching, 1,000 hours of marriage coaching with couples. And these are the four mindsets or four attitudes you'll find, right? The first one, the lowest mindset, the one that really is actually quite toxic, is ripoff, right? This is the mindset of a criminal. It's the person who goes into the relationship wanting the other person to just give, and never being willing to give back, right? So this is really a taker's attitude. And it's actually very toxic in a relationship. It's very unhealthy. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times when it's appropriate to allow the other person to lavish gifts and give you things. And it's very appropriate in birthdays and anniversaries and surprises. And there's also this isn't necessarily the income bracket, right? Don't get me wrong. You can have one person who makes a lot more money and so is giving expensive gifts. The other person has less money but is giving lots of time and care and love. That's not ripoff, right? What I'm getting out of the relationship and what the other person's getting out of the relationship might be very different. But as long as we equally value those things, it's okay. The ripoff mindset comes in when you are this is like the traditional gold digger, right? This is the person who's truly there just to get things from the person, right? They're a taker. That's not a good attitude to have in a relationship. And the long-term effects of that attitude on you, right? If you're the one who's a taker and you're letting the other person give all day long, maybe you both work, right? And then you come home and one of you sits on the couch and the other one takes care of the kids and the food and the laundry and all the chores and everything else. That is a rip-off relationship, and it's very unhealthy, and it's going to lead to a lot of problems. And one of the problems it leads to is the person who's the taker. At first, it won't hurt so much, right? At first, you're like, ooh, this is nice. I'm living on easy street, right? After a while, it actually poisons you. It poisons your mind. It poisons your heart. It starts to not feel good. It's like an icky feeling in the stomach, right? And that can lead to other problems in the relationship. It can lead to infidelity. It can lead to fights, right? Over money or about exchange. And it's really not a healthy relationship. So let's talk about the good ones. Well, before we get to the good ones, there's one other one I have to warn you about, and that is what I call half-assed help. And I have a particular button on this one, so we're going to just cover it briefly. Half-assed help is similar to the rip-off attitude. Half-assed help is, well, you're doing majority of the work, but I helped, so what are you complaining about? Right? Not a healthy relationship. It's not a healthy mindset or attitude towards your partner. So again, if you have a little bit of that going on, I want you to just affirm to yourself today that you're going to knock that off and you're going to start fresh today with a more positive attitude and mindset towards give and take in your relationship, because long term it's going to mean a lot more happiness for you. Short term it might be a little bit uncomfortable to suddenly have more work to do, and I understand that, but I'm telling you the long term benefits are going to vastly outweigh it. So let's talk about the good attitudes you can have, the ones that really serve you in marriage, right? The first one is fair, being fair to each other. I know that sounds ridiculous. Like, what are we in preschool? But it's so, so true that the more you try to be fair with your relationship, if you do the laundry, they take care of the kids. If you make the money, they take care of the house. If you both work and you both pull an income, then you both do chores and both help with the kids, right? Or let's say you don't have kids. Let's take this back to a younger relationship. If you're both working and you're both coming home late, then you both tackle the chores. Maybe one of you cooks and one of you cleans. Or, you both do some of the chores that you dislike so that it's fair, right? That is a good, healthy mindset in a relationship. But there is one that's even better. I know, surprising, right? The best mindset to have about give and take in any marriage is called abundance mindset. Abundance mindset is when you are willing to give far more than the other person expects, right? So it's not that one of you is giving more than the other one. You're both constantly focusing on giving each other more than the other person expects. So if you're being expected to do the dishes, you do the dishes and you also dry them and you also put them away and you also wipe down the counter, right? If the other person's expected to make dinner, then they also go research your favorite recipes and they also make sure there's always a dessert. Unless you're on a diet, in which case it's a keto dessert. But you see what I mean? When you both have that attitude about give and take in the relationship, suddenly there is an abundance of joy and there's an abundance of love happening. And it's a lot more fulfilling and there's a lot less fights and arguments and disagreements and reasons to dislike each other. So I strongly recommend that you try to have an abundance mindset with each other. So go ahead and pause this video. I want you to write down some good examples of how you can create abundance for each other and really exceed each other's expectations.